Could everybody please find your seats? Thank you. Okay, for this section, since District 2 came in last, I'm going to start with you. And I'm just going to start with Terry and work my way down to the table, and then we'll rotate. We'll probably have 2 questions. We might get to 3. I want to guarantee you time for closing statements this evening. The first question, and I'm going to repeat it twice, and if you'd like me to repeat it, just ask me when it gets to you. Otherwise, I will not repeat it for everybody. There is a proposal from Senator Pipkin in the State Senate that Maryland County share the funding of teacher pensions. What is your position on this? I'm sorry, there's discussions going on. Could we please? Thank you. I'm going to start from scratch. There is a proposal from Senator Pipkin in the State Senate that Maryland counties share the funding of teacher pensions. What is your position on this, and how do you propose Cecil County pay for it if it becomes law? I will repeat the question. There's a proposal from Senator Pipkin in the State Senate that Maryland counties share the funding of teacher pensions. What is your position on this, and how do you propose Cecil County pay for it if it becomes law? Terry.
One of the problems with state mandates is they're almost always unfunded, leaving us with the burden of paying for them. In this particular case, I know that there is a study group that has been meeting for about a month, maybe 6 weeks on the state level to look at not only the teachers' pensions, but the entire state pension system, to look at the problem. As many states are dealing with right now, and we're seeing this a lot in the headlines, is that the government pension systems are bankrupting us, basically. So it is, as we look at how to deal with this, I think there will be some interesting things that come out of the study, and I hope they do a very, very thorough study, because the impact to us at the local government level is just huge. It would be the job of our commissioners, and I would be glad to step up to that plate to work with the other counties in fighting this, because quite frankly, I don't think it's fair. It may be premature to say, okay, how are we going to pay for it? What are we going to do? Because we don't know how much it will be, and we don't know when it will happen. I had talked to Craig Whiteford, the county's budget director. He shared with me that an estimate is between $12 and $17 million a year increase in county expenditures, which is very significant. And on a budget of $164 million, that is not something that the county's budget can simply absorb. But as we know more, we'll have more of an opportunity to learn more about the issues, hear the public's comments, and discuss solutions to this. Ultimately, and depending on how much it is, the commissioners will have a very, very difficult decision to make, because it will come down to either cutting services or raising taxes. And raising taxes is my absolute last option. Thank you.
Thank you. Earl?
I have to read the question.
Would you like me to?
No, sir.
Okay.
If you read the paper, you talked about the casino in Perryville. First thing came to mind is, what would I do in order to bring more revenue to the county? I started thinking, if we're going to be spending, people are going to come over in Cecil County and make money for the county, why don't we use it wisely? So first thing I thought about was getting more money from the casino and asking them and telling them that's what we need, because we can't fund it. If the pension is changed over from the state level to our government, we would not be able to afford it. So that's definitely a no good answer. The answer would be, I'm not for it. The thing is, I would like to say that the teacher's pension gets passed in the county. This would mean that our government has been changed and we're no longer being funded by the state. This would put the county in a financial bind, as far as I'm concerned. Without state funding, we would have to rely on the taxpayers to support the pension, which the county is in no position to do. And I would say the last thing, and for last time I want to say this, I will not raise taxes to support something that the state should have adequate responsibilities for. So I would vote against that, definitely 100%, for passing the funding down to the county government.
Thank you. Mike?
I am concerned about how the county will deal with the cost. I understand there are a number of plans. In Annapolis, I think some have said they're going to send back the pensions altogether, and I think there are some that are considering gradually sending them back to the county. I think when we see a more concrete proposal, as county commissioners, we can come up with a strategy to deal with that. So, thanks.
Thank you. Brian?
Thank you. I agree with I think two commissioners said that it's going to be a study process. For 4 years, we've been hearing the pensions are coming back to the county. I don't believe the state wants to put an unnecessary financial burden on Cecil County or any county in the state of Maryland. So I'd love to be able to tell you all I have a magic bullet and I have the answer to that question, but I think it's going to be a study question, and we will figure out a way to fund it. And I think we need to wait till we see what the dollar amount is and what the extent of it is. Thank you.
Thank you. Diana?
When the question came up, I was researching it to see what issues are tied to it. And one of the things is that if it comes to the county, how much control are we going to have on the pensions and the increase of the cost? I know it's directly related here. It's a double-edged sword to where we've increased the salaries for our teachers, but with the increase of salaries, the pensions also increase. It would be something that we will have to, one of the ways we could deal with this is through impact and excise fees, that we would be collecting funds for the schools, and it would go in a separate fund. But we should be looking at if this is something that's going to be forced on us, we're going to have to make some serious decisions and make sure that we have control over the direction of where the pensions are going and control the costs.
Thank you. Carl?
How much time do we have? 2 minutes. It's coming. It's a cost to the state $100 million a year in the increase of pension costs. And I'm just not talking about teacher, I'm talking about all pensions. They invested their money like everybody else in this room did, and the stock market fell, and now they can't close the gap. It's a reality that they can't afford it. The state has a $1.5 billion structural deficit going into fiscal year 2012. They don't have enough revenue to pay for the expenditures that are on the books through 2012 and beyond, and with it. But the people who work in Annapolis are like you and me. They have to go home to their constituents. They have to go home and talk to their boards of education and their county executive or their county governments like, our delegation does. So to assume that they're going to impose something and have no accountability is not reality. They get elected here. They don't get elected somewhere else. So we have to work with them. We must be proactive. And you don't just dump, and it's not going to happen. Ms. Moore is correct. A commission studying it, they just met yesterday. They are not going to just dump a percentage of the cost on there. We must be proactive through MACO, the Maryland Association of Counties, and through other associations that I'm associated with, and to do this. So what you need to look at is what they did with Social Security a few years ago. How much is the individual contributing to the plan? It needs to go up. What's the minimum age required for maximum retirement? It needs to go up. We're living longer. The pension was put in place in the 50s, and now it's 2010, 60 years later. So you have to go and you have to look at it has to be multi-pronged, you have to look at every aspect, and we need to be, I am down there, and with it and talked yesterday on this issue. We need to be in Annapolis lobbying for the things that we need to make sure it doesn't come to us.
Thank you. Terry, would you like to respond?
Just one comment that my opponent talked about with our slots facilities, and I know that there was news in the newspaper just recently about the amount of revenue that they collected in a very short period of time, and I haven't done the numbers. I don't know how much that would mean to local government. Unfortunately, or fortunately, when the people of Maryland passed the referendum on slots, part of that referendum also included how that money could be spent. And it may not be available to go back to the state to get more money.
Thank you. Earl, would you like to respond?
Yes. I looked at the numbers that you're talking about. It would be $10,000 to the Perryville area. It was funny that I happened to look at the revenue and where it was going. To me, now this is my only personal opinion, and I'm just being straightforward, the casino is supposed to represent the county, but it's helping Perryville area, the surrounding areas. Somehow or another, somebody's left out there. I'm not sure whether it's the taxpayers on the south side or the north side of the county, but that casino should be operating for the whole Cecil County, not just Perryville. Now, to me, the percentages, if it needs to change to offset all costs for the county, that's what needs to happen. Because I found out that, now I might be wrong, but most of the people who are on that board are from that area, Perryville. And somehow we left out in Cecil County.
Thank you. Mike, would you like to respond? Brian?
No response other than the papers write it down. It's 10 million, not 10,000, or else it's going to give you a hard time.
I knew you were correct me, Brian. Thank you.
Sorry. Diana, would you? Okay. Carl, would you like to respond?
The casino, the way the bill is written, directs that to go to infrastructure costs. And I just have to make a statement. All of Cecil County is benefiting from the revenue that's associated that goes to the county, as is the town of Perryville. We all benefit from the profits and the way that the bill is written. It also is designated to go to infrastructure. And what is the primary thing you heard from every candidate running for office is we need infrastructure. It's targeted at the right expense. Thank you.
Thank you. In the essence of time and the fact that we have to be closed and completed by 9 o'clock, I do not have the time for additional questions during this segment. I would like to ensure that you have time for a 3-minute closing statement. And I will start that with District 3. Mike, I'll give you 3 minutes for a closing statement.
Well, first of all, I'd like to thank everyone for attending tonight, and I'd like to thank the Patriots for organizing the event. Just wanted to say in closing that I'm offering a common sense platform to change the way business is done in Elton, lower taxes, less government, and more jobs. I think we need, as I said earlier, some new blood and some fresh ideas in there, and hopefully we can turn a new page in Cecil County's history on November 2nd. Thank you very much again.
Thank you, Mike. Brian?
Thank you all, and thank the Tea Party for having us. I respect you all for coming out and listening to everything we have to say. There's a few things said tonight that another one was, I was going to give Earl a hard time. I was in one of those portables at Rising Sun Elementary, and I turned out, never mind. So
That's your problem.
Right, that's it. The sitting out there, if I'm you, taxes is a big issue, and a lot of things were said tonight. I have 42%, so I have $1 here in front of me, and I know the paper's going to give me a hard time about ripping it in half, and I'll tape it back and use it. I have 42% goes to the school, so you're a Cecil County Commissioner. You have 42% of your dollar, your taxpayer's dollar. I have another 12% we got to use for public safety. So that's gone. There's 54%. I have this left to run all the bills in the county, and I've been there for 4 years, and we've done it. We've held taxes. And for somebody to say that they're going to cut our budget and give the numbers that they're going to cut it, I want one of you to dial 911 and wait 40 minutes for somebody to show up. You'd be the first one calling the county commissioner's office complaining. We have some necessities that we have to pay for, and what we have left over is a very small piece of your tax dollar, and I'm telling you right now, we do it as good. There is some better things we can do, and we're working on it, but we do a darn good job, and I'm proud to be a Cecil County Commissioner, and I'm asking for your vote, not only tomorrow, I'll go ahead and say for November 2nd. Thank you.
Thank you.